I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't sure what to expect with Sylvester, but this man sold me on an added addition rather than a subtraction from the cast. The guy literally had a superhero landing. He jumps off in I don't even know how many feet, but any other person should be dead. But, nice, careful landing, making sure the civilians, your own creature, yourself, you're fine. This man, he almost parachutes down without a parachute, does a roll, and succeeds, and is like the best circus performer in town. And the fact that even like outside of that amazing superhero landing, he also recognizes, despite this almost childlike nature, he recognizes that someone like mine shouldn't be anywhere near this, so he yeets her over to Ferdinand, and then Ferdinand is kind of like the guardian to make sure she's okay, as he then launches Phoenix attacks and does some crazy ass shit. This man was a wild addition. I really didn't know what to think because, I think a lot of us have been interested to see who this guy was going to be after the hints and foreshadowing setting up as such. But this was a wild addition, and I mean that in the most, positive way. I was a little suspicious in the earlier portions of the episode, but by the time it wrapped up, I really kind of bought in that he has a good heart. It's kind of backed by a very impulse-like attitude. And I mean, from the simpler moments like the dinner scene, whatever you want to call it, they're basically in the middle of kind of like discussing the food and things like that. Mine had her own personal chef, because of course they wouldn't want to be one up by the others. And the fact that, just that plate scene, wait, you're just gonna eat it? Well, why wouldn't I eat it? It's my food. Oh shit, I gotta give you some. Okay, how about half? And he's like, half? Yeah, okay, that's pretty good. And then he's like, you know what? I want this for my own personal chef, so let me talk to them. You really expect me to let a commoner talk to you? That's basically giving an order. Just go to the restaurant when they open it. I love the fact that when it came to Mine and Sylvester, I feel like are a little too similar in certain ways. They're very different in most ways, don't get me wrong. But I think because of the almost the attitude both of them can radiate, they just clash in such an entertaining way that it's hard not to get a kick out of their dynamic, and the fact that characters like Ferdinand have to keep them separated in terms of hey, make sure they don't sit directly next to each other, and even that wasn't quite enough. But I think the saving scene definitely proves that even if he can be a bit of a brat himself, he also still understands that, this is someone we need to protect. So the whole kidnapping plotline, which, no real surprise, given the fact that the idea of people targeting her has been a very main theme of this season. But the fact that in this episode, there was a legit attempt because they were outside of the cathedral, right? So I love the fact that when it came to this episode, they're reminding us that just because the church should be an impossible foe to go against, right? She should be fine inside those walls. There is royalty that will target her, and once she's outside those walls, all bets are off, sort of a thing. And the fact that the people who were hired to kidnap her took their own life. They wouldn't even allow questioning. Apparently the escape exploded with them on it, but one person took their own life. The fact that they're that prepared, basically the cyanide pill in their mouth, sort of a thing. It's pretty insane. But I am really enjoying the dynamic despite it being pretty damn intense. This is without a doubt the most mature plot line that we've had going on. We have Mine, who very much has risen to the occasion, right? She's doing what she needed to for the festival. She went to all the different spots, and even though she had to be a little careful around certain people, like keeping her identity a secret, she did everything without passing out. Sure, at the end of the day, she was winded, she was, ready to probably never get out, go into hibernation for a month, but still, she's really risen from that frail girl in season 1 who was barely able to do anything for more than a couple of hours, to now being able to go to all these different points in the day, do this mana casting ritual for the blessings and things, and it's not until sunset that she's actually down for the count. It's pretty impressive. I think that really does go to show that Ferdinand, despite maybe sometimes having a more cold demeanor, he really does have Mine's best interests at heart and make sure that she's prepared. Of course she hates the medicine that she has to drink. Apparently, it doesn't taste any better, even though he said that he would work on the flavor. But the fact that he's always making sure that she's not screwed and that she's not going to be, in any real danger if he can help it, sort of a thing. But he understands that, they need to use her mana because of what she's capable of doing. And the fact that there's all these extra threats and they continue to introduce new characters, so many times I'm kind of on guard. I almost feel like Mine's parents being like, can we really trust anyone? But then there's these moments like, the tossing scene being like, oh shit, we really can't. Oh wait, we might be able to trust him actually. I think given the fact that Ferdinand is like one of the characters out of everyone that I fully trust in right now, I think that's what makes his word feel genuine. Like, Mine even calls out the one general there, like, hey, could it be this family? Absolutely not. Because I'm with you, they would never do that. And if Ferdinand believes him, then I'm going to believe what he says. It's not necessarily because of a character's words, but it's more so the trust that Ferdinand puts in the other people, right? And it'd be interesting to see if someone could get a one-up on Ferdinand, because given everything we've seen, right? I mean, it just very much gives me the impression that Ferdinand is very keen at observing all these smaller details to make sure that no one could get the one-up on him. But eventually someone probably would, and it'd be interesting to see how he would respond, right? But I do have to say, like, I've been saying it for the past couple of videos in Bookworm, but this season does feel like a step up in quality. There's so much about it, from the directing, which I think is so much more interesting to look at the general scenes, like look at the action scene as an example. There's so many times that I feel like in the prior season, when it came to more of those intense moments, they had a more typical directing style, but something I really appreciated in this fight, which was the whole shadow thing going on with the wind magic kind of encapsulating everything. I love the fact that they actually pulled away to this shot after seeing so many aerial views, and then seeing the actual scale of what we were dealing with. Because had we not had this shot that I'm showing right now, it would have been very easy to misrepresent how big or exactly what that scale represents. But by pulling back to that crisp wide shot, it really does go a long way to make us say, God damn, they're actually dealing with something that's literally going to destroy a town in terms of like the radius, right? And I really love how they just get into those moments and those finer details a lot better. Whether it's the subtle body reactions and the movements that they're putting a little more detail into, the better background details like I've mentioned. And just the fact that it feels like characters are getting more chances to shine, more so than I feel like they did in prior seasons. I think it also helps that the general cast that we've been following, I think, is a lot more interesting, at least in my opinion, than previous batches of character interactions. Because I like the characters, don't get me wrong. Benno and things like that, I think they're great characters, but the cast that we're currently following, to me, is just a lot more interesting, but that's just a personal preference anyway. But I'd love to know everyone's thoughts and feelings, because this episode, it was pretty damn insane. It was absolutely bonkers, but I mean, it was great, because it had a lot of setup, had a lot of slower moments, and then they end on that high-octane emotional moments to make us say, like, not only is kidnapping in order, we have these powerful people launching destructive attacks. It's just getting crazier from here, and I've heard nothing but good things from source readers. So let me know your feelings down below, leave a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you're new around here. Till next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.